Welcome to another episode of Boom and Bust. I'm your host, Tony Clement. I'm here at the News Forum where all voices matter. The impact of artificial intelligence on the creation and enjoyment of music is already being felt. We'll delve into this topic with our guest, Fernando Garibay, a music producer and founder of the Garibay Institute. He comes to us from Los Angeles, California. Welcome to the program.
Hey, Tony, it's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Great to have you here as well. First of all, how would you describe the advent of AI in the music industry thus far?
Well, it's interesting. There's two significant reactions. I think that's where we can start. Is one is shock, and second is what am I going to do with my career? That's just correlative, right? This is what I'm experiencing with working with pop stars right now, with songwriters and other fellow producers. But then there's this other part of our industry, the creative industry, that's really interesting. And they're very resilient. And they are looking at ways to adopt immediately. So we can bifurcate these two communities in the music industry as the early adopters and the very nervous constituents.
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense because rapid change, that does create anxiety. We've seen it throughout human history for sure. So let's delve into what AI can and can't do, perhaps, to help our audience understand the impact. So how can AI create popular and emotionally connective songs?
Well, let's take a quick look at, I may back up at the history of how we've created pop music specifically, right? So pop music came out of jazz, R&B. We had jazz migrated to rockabilly in the 50s, and we had the British interpretation of that rockabilly being regurgitated back to us. And then we have, let's say, flash forward to rock and roll, full heavy metal in the 70s. Then we have an advent of disco, then electronic music through disco, and then the evolution of that into new wave pop music. Then we have different communities in the U.S. being represented through rap music, and so on. And then you have this boy band phenomenon, and then Millennium 2000 pop, and then you have EDM in the 2010s and forward. Now you have Gen Z pop, which is a hybrid of global pop music now expressed through multiple cultures around the world. So that was always done with a songwriter in the room and a producer in the room. And usually you get together and you improvise your way through a song based on the experience of the people in the room, based on the stories of the artist and the collaborators in the room. Okay, that's traditional songwriting, and that's the history of pop music. What's different now is this traditionally was done through what we've heard before, right? So based upon the exposure I've had with my influences as an artist, I would create from that point, right? An inspiration from the previous. Now, the way you can do it today with AI is if you look at the two top music platforms, AI, which are Suno and Udio. Both of those are prompt generated music output platforms. So just like an LLM, learning language model, like a ChatGPT, you prompt the type of song you'd like to hear.
Right.
For example, a very simple prompt is, I want to hear a song about a stormy day in Alaska or something silly like that. You can do that. But a more sophisticated user would probably prompt, I'm going through a difficult time today, and I want to hear a song that makes me feel relieved of my heartbreak, right? So that's a good starting point for what you want to hear today. Okay, so now, the way that the compute is done in the output from that input is based on the training data. So in other words, the history from which that algorithm has been trained from.
Right.
So let's look at Suno, for example. This is proprietary, so this information isn't available, nor do I have specifics as to what training data was used. But I can rest assured that most training data is trained like this, right? So I can make a safe assumption. The assumption is that it's trained on a historical data, so the previous hit records of the past.
Right.
Right.
And
Although
we're going
some
to take
claim,
I'm going to
yeah,
bust in
please.
right now because we do have to take a little bit of a break, and this is
Sure.
important stuff. So hold on to that thought. We'll be right back after these
Okay.
messages.